Um, Hi everyone, my name is Jason. I've joined earlier this year, and this is the first time I present in this forum, so I'm super excited and nervous. But um, I am a senior product designer for organization. I also invited Christina, my PM counterpart, to help answer some of the questions you may have. Um, so team concept has been a um like issue that GitLab has been talking about for quite a long time. I believe most people here may already know that. But for people who joined more recently, team concept is basically a container for uh member management so that you can invite team to resources and manage the access control. So right now at GitLab, permission control is hard. The inheritance pattern is unpredictable. On the right-hand side is a diagram showing there could be a
Jason, I
member
don't see
group
anything
in.
presenting. Does anybody else see something presenting?
Oh
Oh, I think,
no.
yeah.
Thanks
No
for
worries.
pointing
Just wanted
out.
to make sure that we're on the same page. Yeah, there we go.
Appreciate that. Amazing.
No.
Okay, hi. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, permission control is hard. This is a diagram of like how permission control is confusing. For example, you can use a member group to only manage members, and then you don't manage any resources. And then you can invite that particular group with a group of members to a project. However, because of the structure, like the specific project could have inherited members from the group, and they could also invite members from individual source. So what happened is in the project, like the same members could have overlapped sources from all three of them. That makes permission complex and unpredictable because for example, if you want to look at the permission, you go to the manage group, the member group, you can see the permission, but it's actually not the effective permission because there will be role calculation in the project. And it has been especially challenging at scale because imagining you can't just see the effective permission in the member group. You have to go into each group and resources to see what is actually effective. So imagine that you have thousand or 10,000 of project resources. That means that it would be very difficult to audit your access control. And that lead to our next slide, which is there is a missing enterprise opportunities in the current teams situation. We see that in the data, there's already 10% of the people using group only for member management without any resources. In our support issue, 12% of them are related to permissioned problems. And then 94% of the enterprise customer reports struggle in access control. And we estimate that there is 110 millions of enterprise still blocked by insufficient access management capacity. So how does team works? The team concept is basically to separate who from what. So imagining we separate people from group to a new container called team. Team will be focusing on managing people, and group can focus on containing project and subgroups. One of the benefit of separating people from group and resource structure is that they can stay independent. So the team can scale with your organization changes with a very lean structure, while resources can grow any way they want to. The goal of a team is to allow the user right-sizing the team for better permission control instead of adding exception permission in the resources structure. And reusing the group for managing member have a lack of management capacity because group is not designed for managing permission. So having a dedicated team concept would give us the space to create more enterprise feature. So to begin with, we will start with supporting flat team structure. So in team one, there's an example with there's member from 1 to 5, and then team 2, there's member from 6 to 10. With a flat team structure, you could easily invite a team to a specific project. Like for example, project 1, project 2 could have different member associated with that. And then if you want, you can also share both of the team to project 3, um, so that each project have different resources access. But you can also just combine both team and share at the group level, so everything underneath will be seen by both 1 to 10 members. So a bit of UI uh, to do the access control. There is three simple steps. The first step is to create a team. The second is to invite members to the team. And then eventually you can assign team to group to open up resources to them. So step one, team creations. We're going to introduce a dedicated team session in the left navigations. By default, you don't have any teams. You can create a first team, and then creating a first team is quite straightforward. You just have to create a name, and then the visibility of the team is any direct and internal user can view any team. And you can also turn on and off notification, and all the user within the team can be mentioned by the team name. After you create a team, you will be redirected to the team detail page, and then you can invite member. So we'll be using the member invitation model from groups. So you can invite member with a default role for all the multiple members that you invite to the team, but you can also edit the role per members in the team so they could have different role. And then to navigate, to grant it to the project resources, you have to go to specific groups or project that you want to share access with. Then you go to the project, you go to the member management page, then you can have a new button to invite a team. So we're using the group sharing model to share with team, but instead of seeing groups, we will have different teams names, and also we will indicate how many people is inside each team to help user choosing the right teams to invite. And then they can select the mass role for this invitation, which is similar to the current group sharing function. And on top of that, we're going to provide a core team management page where you can see all the team within your organizations. They could be grouped by function or any way your organizations want. It will provide a quick information on how many members associated with each team, and you can do the basic create, edit, view, and delete team functions here. And post phase one, we are going to introduce visual inheritance trees to provide how team permission is assigned into the resources structure. The proposed roadmap for team for phase one, which is something I already present, is the foundation. We provide parallel team introduction, no disruption to the current group and resource structure, but user can start using team for a new project without migrations. So both teams and group member could coexist for phase one. For phase two, we're going to provide enhanced capacity on specifically enterprise user. So we are going to make teams superior to group sharing. For example, we're going to introduce optional team hierarchy, meaning nested tree, to provide a chance for enterprise company to mimic their own organization chart for people management. We're going to provide visual inheritance trees, meaning to provide a permission tree showcasing how teams is associated with each groups and project level and what the permission is different per members. We're going to provide a custom permission assignment to team, aiming to support custom role. And then we will have LDAP and SAML integration for enterprise needs as well. So for phase two, we'll be mostly focusing on enterprise feature that group can't provide right now. And then further down the line, there will be phase three, where we provide migration tooling to support existing groups migrate into teams. Right now, we're at phase one. The ETA for our DOF reading is Q2 next year, and I'm working with a researcher on the phase one research. And I foresee there will be multiple research coming along. Um, so yeah, this is the end of the presentation.
Very nice. You've got several questions on the agenda. The first one is from Alyssa Tran.
Hello, thank you for that presentation. I'm really excited for this concept. I was wondering, how are you guys managing the current existing system where it's a bit confusing and people are using groups to manage members, plus the new system of teams? And will that add initial further confusion while we kind of move towards the end goal?
Thanks for your question. I think this is a good one. Um, I think from our early research, we see that like many existing no, a competitor in the market already have team concept, like GitHub, Jira, Bitbucket, like they all have team concept. So I would expect user quite familiar with using team to manage people resources. And my understanding is that like we are actually quite odd to not have a dedicated member management function within GitLab. So I feel like that would be quite easy for customers to understand, but I agree it could be chaotic to begin with, so we need to validate the user perception to teams with research and also provide sufficient guidelines to them.
Yeah, and maybe from the engineering side, I can also answer this a little bit what the plan is, because we are planning to build an initial prototype, and based on that, we'll have a better understanding as well how many dependencies there are that have been built on the existing access system. And I think once we know the time frame, how much it would really take to build a GA ready version of Teams, that will help us decide what strategy to take. We've discussed a couple of options if we should allow a toggle or like flipping between the two views, but I think there needs to be some level of coexistence so that you can see side by side as you transition what works. But then afterwards, we need to give them a way to probably remove it from the UI. So there's some proposals on that, but I think we haven't set on a defined pattern yet, so there's still options.
Oh, great. Becca, looks like you have the next one.
Yeah, thanks for sharing, Jason, and you did great. So don't be nervous. I know this is an intimidating place to present, but you're doing awesome. So I had a question about if users can be part of more than one team. For example, I may want to be added to the UX team and the secure team. I'm wondering if you've thought about that yet.
Yes, thanks for the thanks for your work. I feel better now. Um, yes, we do. I think I think we look at the flag structure, we look at the nest structure. I think there's a high chance that like a user would be overlap in, for example, for nest structure, the user could be at the very bottom, but then it could be also at the top level because the inherent behavior. But then for flag structure, I think it's supposed to be flexible, so the user can do any way they want. They could have one user in one big group. They could have one user in just one group and then have multiple, like thousands of teams to manage resources. So they could also have multiple, like 5 people in this group with this user, and then, sorry, and then 1 people in this group. Well, yeah, I hope that answered your questions.
Okay, yeah. So it sounds like one person could be part of more than one team. I imagine the permissions could get.
Oh, sorry. I think my alarm changed my headphones, so I can't hear you. Can you say it again?
Oh, just confirming that yes, it sounds like one person could be part of more than one team, could belong to more than one team.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Great. And then my other question was, how would the Teams page, you showed a mock-up of the Teams page, um, but the navigation was kind of wireframe for part of it. So I was wondering how you see that relating to the members page that currently exists. So for example, would I be able to see which members are part of which teams from the members page?
Yes, 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 yes. Sorry, this is in my face right now. Yes, so we haven't showed the UI, but me and Christina already talked about like we need to show the team members like in the current group member page, and also we will have that in the team section as well, so you can vice versa seeing like which group and projects associated with the teams. So yes, we will have that. Just didn't show that in the presentation.
Awesome. Thank you. I can imagine that this is a lot of different spaghetti strings to try to tie with like things like permissions. Um, so anyways, I just want to commend you. It's a lot of it's a lot of yeah, strings to untangle and different use cases to consider. So thanks for taking that on.
Thanks.
Justin, you have the next one.
I do. Thanks. I think this might have been sort of alluded to in Alyssa's first question, but I was wondering if there's any research around how our users' mental models are attached to this group concept that we have and how this might change or need to be changed, I guess, with this new Teams one. Because I've always sort of thought that groups could be a user group, and then you create projects in there. So I was just curious if we have any data on that.
I need to look at the data again and share with you here. But then from my memory, I think we did mental model research on how user perceive team. And from my understanding is that many user is expecting to have that and using groups to manage resources. Um, may works fine when you are at a smaller scale company, but then like for a larger scale company, it's just not very manageable and auditable. So I think the answer is like it should be high confidence that like the user would be familiar and okay, happy with the team. But I will look into the data and share later.
So a group becomes a container for projects as opposed to a container for people and projects.
Yeah, I mean, we could provide team concept and user could do whatever way they want, but I think we should have a opinion about management that like we should manage people only in team. Like, I mean, they can still do direct invitation or like do any way they want, but we have our opinion solutions, and I hope that would help them in long run.
Cool. Thank you.
I can also link to a deck. I'm just trying to find it where we have explained the different concepts a bit better. It's always really hard to do this in one go, and the deck is very big, so sorry for that. And I've also linked to some data that we have from looking at how hierarchies are currently used, and also just a general overview of where we hear users struggle a lot. It's kind of an aggregation of a lot of interviews I've had personally with customers, also people that decided not to adopt the product or not even sign up. The most extreme case I had was, I think, someone who had a 14-page document in German with every single gap that they found in the management system, which was very impressive. And especially for large customers, they very often point out that for them, it's also a regulatory requirement to be able to cleanly separate one from the other and audit them individually. So there's a lot of indications that a separation is better. So I think from how they are currently modeling it is probably also kind of shaped by how we are forcing them to use groups, which is for everything. They do setting, inheritance, they do organization of projects, they do organization of members, and so on. So I think maybe that's something that won't become so clear here, but I think Teams is just the beginning of a larger effort where hopefully we can also structure the metadata better so that they can help us drive a more efficient Teams implementation so that you can tag individual objects the way you want through a functioning metadata system and then use that to aggregate the content that you want. But we need to have these building blocks first. So if we start with Teams, the metadata would then become the next problem, which could help us solve how to organize teams, but also how to operate across entities altogether and not just teams. But that's like big vision.
That makes sense. So this is just the beginning. Okay, there are some more questions. However, I want to make sure that Austin has the time to present his topic too. So Jason and Christina, if you have a chance, please hop into the agenda and answer whatever you can. And we'll hop over to Austin. So thank you.